Hey, this is a video to Chaffe. To answer the question that I don't think you actually asked in your most recent video about the arm sling fast, Dr. Chaffe prescribed arm sling, if I understand correctly. It's the Catholics are big on Lent, and the Lutherans may do it. Like, there's some Protestant sects that are like Catholicism light that do Lent as well. You know, it's more your Ash Wednesday kind of churches that do that sort of thing. Funny story about Lent. A couple years ago, when COVID was just starting out, what was that, 3 years ago? And, you know, things were looking bad. We were just getting reports from like Europe and Italy. Not to criticize what Great White Stoke or some of the other people have said about it. In my memory, early on, everything that we were being shown by the authorities showed it as the most disastrous, looming thing ever. You know, all my people on my Facebook feed were all doing this. A friend of mine tangentially works for the Florida Department of Health. So he was sharing some resources that they were seeing, and it was a different world. So that's not the point. Point is, my best friend growing up, we'll call him Tim, he is actually a Dominican in the Catholic faith, Order of the Preachers. And for Lent, he actually was doing no internet and no media. So literally no news. And it was something else as Lent was coming to a close. I was talking to him about it, and he was aware of what was going on, but not in the mix of the Facebook feed. And I'm like, man, just so you're prepared for it, everybody's out of their daggum minds. And I don't remember what his response was. I could look back in the text messages and see. But as a result, speaking of fasting and speaking of Lent, he was in a very different mode, perspective-wise and spiritually, than I was at the time. And when he re-engaged with media and re-engaged with those different points, it gave him a very different perspective, a very different approach, as if nearly made clean, you know, not as bogged down by the world in a way, you know. It is a thing of beauty. It really is. So I would agree with your assessment on fasting, and I don't know, I can't speak for what was on, as you call them, the other YouTubers' mind, other than it was a quote from the Bible, which you mentioned as well, about don't do it as the heathens do with the woe is me, you know, wearing sackcloth and ashes every day where everybody can see it. You are correct. Your reward is paid in full. That's such a beautiful thing. And what you said about the 3 crosses and the difference between the people that were being crucified that day. Again, I see such humbling beauty in that situation. And to say like the other religions, like if you don't get literally dunked underwater versus sprinkled on water, it always makes me think of, I make this analogy of St. Peter at the pearly gates. And say a person dies, and there's St. Peter standing at the pearly gates. Heaven lies beyond the pearly gates. Now, I don't think there's anything in the Bible that talks about pearly gates per se, but It's like the old joke goes. And when I usually talk to people about it and I'm making light of it, I think of, somebody's like, well, I've been a good person, and you said not to have sexual relations with a woman, and I did not insert my penis into that woman's vagina. And St. Peter looks in his little book, and he's like, oh, so you put it in her butthole. No, nothing in there about putting it in a woman's butthole, so get on in here, you Weisenheimer. You got us. Hopefully, I don't end up making too light of it, but my friends that have served overseas, literally there's religions that believe that if you do it this way but not that way, it's okay. And I've heard stories of some claiming Christians saying that a hand job is referred to as, quote, Christian sex. But I think it's written that a man who's lusted for a woman has already committed adultery in his heart, as Jesus ups the ante. Because the way I see it is the point of seeing your sin is to understand your need of salvation, being saved. So if in the course of our waking day, if we feel tortured and pain, we're still experiencing that slavery. And there is one whose reason was to free the slaves. So, man, blessed be. Blessed be. All right, good looking out. I believe these are very important conversations to have, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to have that, and I appreciate everybody. I really do. And man, you need to, I don't know what you need to do, Chaffe, but that guitar playing makes me want to pick the axe back up. It really does. All right, catch you later.